Just gonna go over the driver settings first, and this will work for any Thrustmaster wheel. All the same settings from T150 to the TSPC, anything between TMX 0 and damper anywhere between 15 and 30%, depending on your preference. Now, the problem with that is it caused it to overheat quite a bit. So don't use that unless you have a direct drive wheel. Any thrust used to use it a lot. Feedback, obviously, use linear mode. Funny story, I used to have a T300 and I used to use it a lot. Problem with that is it caused it to overheat quite a bit. So don't use that unless you have a direct drive wheel. Any Thrustmaster wheel, you should have this setting off. Reduce force when parked, gonna make your life a little bit easier when leaving the pits. Strength is the only thing we're gonna keep very flexible right now. Don't give my number any attention right now. The thing is, if you ended up changing a lot of your settings due to this guide, start at 5 and work your way up. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Wheel force, this is the peak power coming from the servo inside of your wheel. There's a list in the description below which settings is recommended for each wheel. Use that or just Google it yourself. Damping, I put it at 0. Damping is gonna smooth out the wheel. It's also gonna cause less communication to come from the road. So some people like a smoother wheel, some people like it to fight you a little bit. I prefer the latter, so I prefer damping on 0. Anywhere between 0 and 15% is sort of a good place to play around with. Any more than that, it's gonna nerf the wheel a little bit too much. Keep that in mind. It's very different from the damping setting that we have in the driver. It's not the same thing at all. So damping here is just gonna smooth out the wheel, make it feel the same the whole way through, and I don't like it. I like to feel very different every time I make an adjustment. So to each his own. Play around with it, take it up to 10-15%, give it a go for 10-15 minutes. If you like it, fine. If you don't, take it back to 0 and see how that feels in comparison and make a decision. Minimum force, that's gonna make the middle of the wheel, the travel, it's gonna make it a little bit harder and gonna smooth out your middle transitions. Now, I like that, but what I don't like in belt-driven wheels, like the TSPC, is that it's gonna make it a little jerky. If you ever driven a Logitech wheel, it's always kind of jerky in the middle and clunky, and I really don't like that feeling, so I don't overdo it. I use 4.2%, take it all the way up to 10%, take it all the way down to 0, have a feel and see what you like better. If you like the feeling but you don't like the clunkiness, around 5%, 4% is a nice sweet spot. Now, we're just gonna go over the clipping meter for a second. I'm just gonna show you guys, I'm gonna do a lap and I'm gonna show you guys where you want that sweet spot to be in terms of overall strength. As I've said, this is the only setting we're gonna change from this point on. So we have the clipping meter in front of us and we have the FFB strength on our left, and we're gonna just tweak it in real time. So right now at 4.8, the wheel is very loose. It is not giving me enough resistance to be consistent. It's like, I'm not gonna say it's like not having 4 speed back, but it's very
Pit lane
soft.
speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour.
So I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. I'm gonna take it up to 5.8. As you can see, I'm using more of the green area in the bar. That means I'm using more of the power the wheel can give me. As long as you're in the yellow when it peaks, you're good. So I'm gonna take a hard corner and I'm not even in the yellow here. Use the curbs a little bit, get on the dirt. The car's gonna spin out of control and I'm not clipping at all. I'm getting all the information the car should give me. So I'm gonna give it a couple more clicks up. 6.8 now. As you can see, I'm already using a little bit more. I'm almost getting into the yellow now, but still not. So if you like this point, if the wheel feels good to you, then by all means stay like that. I like a much harder wheel, so I will use more. I will crank it up to 8 and see if I still have communication, and I do. I am getting into the yellow, but for very short periods of time and immediately drops off. And the yellow is still good. The yellow is still a point where you're receiving information. So I'm barely getting into the yellow, and I can afford to crank it up a little bit more. That's how I ended up in 9.8. 9.8, I'm getting into the yellow quite a lot, which kind of signals me, look, this is pretty much as far as she'll go here. So I'm in my sweet spot. I have plenty of force and I have plenty of communication. I can feel the understeer right there. I can feel when I'm locking up, how the wheel feels right now. And I'm getting all that information. And I'm right on the edge and I've got plenty of power in here. That's exactly where I want to be. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this guide. If you can, leave a like, subscribe, links. I've got my Discord channel in the description if you want to join there. Leave a comment, let me know if you think I've missed anything or I can do anything better. That's it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
What's up, everybody? Tom's Brandon here. Welcome to another Score Sim Racing video. Now, real quick, before we actually dive into what we're going to cover, I just want to let you know, those of you who follow me for a while, you know that we've got the Open Wheel Masterclass coming up, and I was actually initially charging money for that. Well, it's not. It's going to be free. So if you're interested in that, head over and get signed up for that, okay? It is going to be free, all right? It's a very long story as to why. Just know that, I was never trying to screw people or trick people or anything like that. Like I said, my whole intention was always to just have fun and teach people this stuff, and so we're doing it for free. I am accepting donations. It is going to cost me money to do this, so if you want to donate, head over, get on the email list, and you'll have an opportunity to donate later. But just know that it's going to be free. It's still going to be the same training. You're still going to get all the same stuff, all the setups, everything for all the open wheel cars. So, anyways, moving on. What are we talking about in today's video? Well, we're going to be covering your steering wheel setup. Now, I actually had some requests for this. I've had quite a few requests for this. And it's really important that you get this right, because here's the deal. Just like when you're doing chassis adjustments or trying to set up your race car to a track, there's a specific order in which you must do that. So, for example, if you're trying to get your car dialed in at, Lernerville, right, or any oval track for that matter, the order in which you have to look at it is the entry, the apex, and then the exit, right? You can't start adjusting your car's exit if the entry is correct, right? You have to have the entry done correctly before you can move on to the next step. It's the same thing with this. There's a lot of you out there who might be struggling right now, and you think it's your setup or you think it's your driving technique, when really all it is your wheel's not set up correctly. I mean, that is absolutely 100% a possibility. And so I'm going to show you how to do this now, because I've seen other videos out there that have gone through specific pieces, but not the whole process. So I'm going to show you the entire process right now, okay? So, first things first, you need to go download the iRacing Wheel Check utility, okay? Now, if you do a Google search, go on to Bing or Firefox or whatever, you type in iRacing Wheel Check utility, it'll come up, download it, alright? Then when you open it up, you're going to select your wheel. As you can see, I'm just using the Thrustmaster TMX. I don't have no high-priced equipment. You don't have to have the best to run good.
Series. Draft is gonna be strong here. But there's also some technical parts where you can maybe get away. Let's get into it. With this long straight in the drive, turn 1 is going to be one of the best places to overtake, so keep that in mind. I use this little board here with the arrow on the left as my braking marker. You want to brake quite hard in the beginning and go for a late apex. Once you've had that initial hit, you want to steer in and then bleed off the brake ever so slightly, going all the way to the curb here, and then apex at the end of it, and of course go full throttle when you hit the curb. I feel I get it right when I stay near the right side of the track. Turn 2, I missed the apex by a few meters to open up turn 3 a bit more. For turn 3 I don't brake, I use the weight transfer of the car to get the car to turn in. The point where I start modulating the throttle is this darkened part just in front of us, and my turning point is the curb just up ahead. I do turn in just a bit before of it, and then you aim for the inside curb and want to take a bit of it, and then go full throttle when you hit the curb and use all the track out here because you won't get on the legs. Turn 4 is really important. If you get this right, from this corner you will be full throttle all the way down to turn 7. The really tricky part is you don't have any braking markers, you don't have any turning points or whatsoever, so you need to practice to get this right. I brake about a car length. Before the darkening of the track in front of us. I like to hit the curb quite hard here, but if you're able to go full throttle at the curb, now just don't be too aggressive with your turn-in and let the car wander and don't scrub up too much of the speed. A little look from outside the car as you to keep it within the track because I don't hit it too hard. Now take the shortest route possible, don't turn too much so scrub up too much speed, and coming up to turn 7 it will be a good overtaking opportunity with the draft. Coming up to turn 7, I use this marshal post on the left as my braking marker, and as soon as the turn line disappears, I use that as my turning marker. You want to go for a late apex on this one. You can actually carry quite a lot more speed than you think going up this little hill here, because you will be pushed into the hill because it's uphill. You want to get as early as you can on the throttle. I get on the throttle quite early the side that's too aggressive and go off it and on again. And then you can walk all the way out here without getting a 1x. And this here, you want to just take the shortest route possible. I stay in third all the way up to the top. You can use fourth, but I prefer third. Coming up to turn 12, I use the end of this curve on the left as my braking marker. My turning point is where the grass goes closer to the right. You want to
Okay, Carl, we need to watch these track limits. This lap will be invalidated. Watch the track limits. Track limits. Done at 152.7. That's your quickest lap in this session. Sector 1's quick. Sector 2 time is good. Track temperature's falling. It's now 47 Celsius. Alright, Carl, we need to watch the track limits. Slow down a bit if you don't want a penalty. Sector 1 time is good. Sector 2 time is quick. count. You've cut the track. Watch the track limits, please, Carl. You'll need to give back the time gained. Now delete this lap, you've cut the track.